new super rare mobs, crop growing chunk loaders, and new mobs and plants. Hello there, Ray here, and we got a brand new snapshot today. This is 25W06A. This will eventually become a full release version of Minecraft, either the 1.21.5 for Java or the 1.21.70 for Bedrock Edition. Let's take a look at all the new changes. Don't forget to share this with your favorite Minecrafter. You can find the new chicken types in their specific biomes. So like here in a warm biome, this will produce the warm chicken. And just like the rest of the mobs when generated in, the specific warm types will be automatically generated in when it comes to the warm biomes. Here you can see all three of them that generated in: the cow, the pig, and the new chicken. They do all have a similar theme, kind of being an orangish red color. Now when it comes to what type of breed these chickens are supposed to be, there is a lot of different chicken breeds, but the most iconic one when it comes to like the tropical warm weathered chickens are these kind of vibrant looking ones. But despite the roosters being really pretty in colors, a lot of times the hens are more of neutral colors. But you can see that they kind of have the brownish red colors on them, which is kind of similar to the ones that they have in game. Now they also did change the color of like the beak and even the feet. And it does make sense that they would be somewhat camouflaged as they're trying not to stand out too much. And in the colder biomes, we're going to find this blue type of chicken. Looks really weird as it does have kind of a crest and also has actually some tail feathers coming out the back. Once again, there is a lot of different variations, even when it comes to chickens that can handle the cold. But you can see there is a few of these that kind of have the bluish colors, like the Americana. And with the Minecraft's chicken illustrating the big feathers in the back, it might be pointing to one of these types with the bigger plumage. But they also do have some head plumage, which makes you think of something similar to like the silkies. And you can still find the normal white chickens and all the different types of tempered biomes, which are ones that are not necessarily considered cold or hot. But unlike the pigs and cows, they actually came out with unique eggs for these different types of chicken. So the blue chicken produces these cool blue eggs with the spots on them, where the warm type of chicken produces a brown egg with really big spots on it. And in real life, chickens do produce different colored eggs. There's even a type of chicken that supposedly produces rainbow eggs, but they're really not that rainbow. They're just a variety of natural colors. But you do see your typical browns, your whites, and you can even get some ones that are closer to blues and greens. And by looking at the egg color, you can kind of determine what type of breed they're trying to illustrate. But I don't know chickens that well, so if you guys have any clue at what breeds they got going on here based off the eggs or the colors, let me know. But the cool thing about the eggs is even if you have like a cold chicken and you get some of the eggs and you bring it over here to a warm biome, it will still produce the cold baby chicks. Same thing goes for the brown eggs. They'll produce the yellow baby, and the white one will produce the white one. This makes it a lot easier to get these types of mods back to your base compared to like the new cows and pigs, which you'd have to haul back there. But other than that, the eggs can be used just like the normal egg in recipes. But I'm sure people will come up with some cool ideas where you can put these like instead of item frames, make them look like some cool interior decoration. Now this is going to change the rarest mob types in the game, which are jockeys. And as you guys know, when jockeys came out, I was really obsessed over them, and I used to make special farms in order to harvest all the different variations of them, including a jockey farm where the baby zombies are riding baby chickens. Getting this is super rare because you have to have the baby zombie spawn and then hop onto a nearby baby chicken. So I made this whole machine that would automate the entire process. This also happens to be the very first zombie reinforcement farm, as I use the zombified piglins getting mad to spawn in zombie reinforcements, and this way I could get more zombies than what the mob cap would normally allow, as the zombie reinforcements didn't count towards the mob cap. But it also works for adult chickens, and with the new chicken types, we can come in and get new types of baby zombies riding chickens. And I actually came up with the rarest type of chicken jockey, which I explained in this video, that has a whole bunch of weird attributes that makes it way more rare than a baby zombie full of diamonds on top of a chicken. So now we can get the cold as well as the warm chickens, but you might think that it doesn't make much difference if we have a warm chicken or a cold chicken or a normal one when it comes to the jockey. But it actually might make a difference because this special jockey is from a jungle village, and because jungles are warm, they produce the warm chickens. Therefore, all jockeys should automatically spawn on top of chickens that are warm if they're from a jungle. So if you would happen to get a zombie villager that is a warm variation, but then happen to put it on a cold chicken, this would be kind of a cursed mob because you have one warm and one cold. And when the villager gets converted into a zombie, it will check nearby for a chicken that it can hop onto, and it can hop onto a different type of chicken. And you can even get like the warm variation of the zombie, which is a husk, to jump onto a nearby cold chicken. Now there's tons of other crazy rare mobs in the game. You guys can check them all out with my playlist here, including that super rare chicken jockey. And I'll probably try to make a farm for these new type of rare in the futures, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Now, as I have been changing the colors of all the different original mobs in the game, it makes you wonder if they're going to come out with the warm and cold variations for the sheep mob. Now, we already have goats in the game, which are kind of what you'd expect for the cold variation of the sheep to be, since there are animals in real life called mountain sheep. But then again, sheep also have a bunch of variations in colors as it already is, so there is a lot of different options for them. Do you think they should come out with a warm and cold type? We also got 2 new vegetation blocks, which is the short dry grass as well as the tall dry grass, but both of them are just 1 block tall, unlike the tall grass and tall fern, which are 2 blocks tall. And these can be placed on any types of dirt as well as sands and terracottas, which is similar to the dead bushes. They can also be found in the desert biomes here. You can see this is what the desert looked like now. They really made the desert a lot more vibrant as it was dead, and in the past we have heard that they're looking to update the desert, so I guess this is a good start. But they can also be found in the badland biomes. And when you bone mill the short variation, it's going to become a tall variation, and when bone milling the tall one, it will place in a short one nearby if there is room for it, similar to the new bush. And similar to obtaining dead bushes with a shears, if you use shears on the small one, you get more small ones, and the big one will give you the big one. But it seems there's a bug where shears are actually not taking any damage when breaking these. I will definitely be making a farm for these, so make sure to leave a like on the video. Now typically, sheep will need to eat grass in order to regrow their wool, but when it comes to the dry grass, they can actually eat it. Here's one eating that one, and you can see it completely destroyed the actual grass block. And when it comes to the tall grass, when they eat it, they will also remove the entire block. So if you have sheep out in the desert, they're going to eventually remove all this dry grass and it won't ever regenerate. So it can be kind of a griefer. Now, besides being a type of decoration, they can also be composted into a composter, but since they are dry, they can be used as fuel similar to dead bushes. Although I wouldn't recommend this as a fuel source, as there's way better ones I covered in this video, and I have an entire playlist covering the best types of compost farms, which you can find here. They also added in a new block called cactus flower. It looks quite good and can be found at the top of cactuses. Now you can see when the cactus grows, there's a chance that it will grow with the flower on top of it. And the thing is with this flower is it will stop the cactus from continuing to grow. Now you might think that this would break cactus farms, but the flowers will only generate on top if there's air on all 4 sides. So if you have blocks on any of these sides, it will never produce a flower up here. That way it won't break the pre-existing cactus farms which use this mechanic. And you can get the item just by breaking it with your fist, but if it falls down onto the cactus, it will get destroyed. I'm definitely going to have fun making an automatic farm for these, as the cactus flower actually looks quite good, not only on the cactus, but also on top of other vegetational blocks. Even though it's a flower, it does not go inside of a flower pot. Now, if the cactus is 1 block tall or 2 blocks tall, there's a 10% chance that it will put a flower on top of it when it grows. But if it's already at the max height, which is 3 blocks tall or higher, then there's a 25% chance that it will grow and place a flower on top of it. And this kind of makes sense because the ones that are 3 blocks tall are like finished growing, and then they would put a flower on top of them, where the smaller ones would typically grow a bit higher before being done. Now we can already find these new cactus inside of deserts as well as badlands. Now besides decorations, these flowers can also be used in composting, or you can craft them down into pink dye. And they can even be placed on top of blocks which have a very small center, but are still able to connect up with them and support them, such as like fences or iron bars. But oddly enough, they don't actually get placed on top of leaf blocks, which is a bit of a disappointment because they would look really nice on top of those. They made a big change to how crops will grow when it comes to chunks. Typically, crops will only grow out 8 chunks away from where the player is AFKing, which would also determine other things like if ice would melt or if like zombified piglins would spawn inside another portals. But this has been changed today, so it's no longer based off of just 8 chunks away from wherever the player is located. but instead is now based off of your simulation distance. So now any blocks within your simulation distance will now be able to receive random ticks. So if you want crops to grow out really far from you, you can just increase this in your single player world, or in your multiplayer world there's a setting. But what's really crazy is this also applies to chunk loaders now. So if a chunk's being chunk loaded by like Ender Pearl or like my Nether Pearl chunk loaders, then this chunk is also able to receive random ticks. But this also includes your world spawn point, since this is already being chunk loaded by the game. So before we were just limited to special types of farms that would work inside of spawn chunks, typically ones where entities can move around, such as like iron farms. But when it came to actual crop farms, we'd have to bone mill them because they would normally only grow if the player was here. And the whole idea of having spawn chunk farms is that they constantly run even when the player is not here. But we could still make this work by making a bone mill farm, like a moss farm, and then resupply all our different types of farms which use bone mill. But now we can actually cut out this expensive process, as using bone mill is pretty expensive, and instead we could just rely on certain farms to just grow themselves. So like stuff like bamboo can now just grow in loaded chunks, which is a much nicer farm to use instead of having to use this complex tree farm in order to make a playerless wood farm. And this can also apply to crops now, because we have these little villager crop farms and we would have like the bees actually pollinate them to grow up. But now the crops can actually grow themselves and the villager can just harvest them. But it won't work for everything. So it works for like crop growing, as well as like ice freezing and melting, snow falling, as well as cauldrons filling up with rain. But in these simulated chunks, they won't allow like mobs to spawn, or lava to spread fire, or lightning strikes to occur, as those will still be based off of 8 chunks away from where the player is located. Which does make sense, because you don't want those destructive things to be occurring in some weird spot that you're not even located at, such as coming back to your spawn chunks and having everything get burnt down. Now some other changes they made is that fire will no longer burn or spread if there's no player within 8 chunks. So just because you're loading something that's kind of far away doesn't mean it's going to burn. But if you do want the fire to tick like it was before, there's this game rule called allow fire ticks away from player, which you can set back to true. But there is actually quite a bit of things that use random ticks, so we'll have to see how this is applied, and this should really open up the door to a whole bunch of new types of farms that can be run without the player. So I'm really excited to see which types of my farms actually will now work without having to have a player nearby. Guys, they changed it so now we can put leaf litter on almost any block. This is something I was really hoping for when it comes to them adding these overlay blocks, because by putting them onto different blocks like the skulk, you can end up with a whole bunch of different types of textures just by adding them onto pre-existing block textures. And obviously leaf litter can't be like placed upside down and on the sides, but just by them giving more uses to where you can actually place the leaf litter makes the block so much more useful, as when it comes to everything else that kind of has these overlays, like the new flowers and also the new bushes, they can only be placed on dirt like blocks, but it doesn't work on leaves. Do you think Minecraft should remove these restrictions when it comes to these plant like blocks? And when it comes to how the firefly bush will put off its ambient noise, as long as there's not a block above it and it is at least nighttime, then it will play this noise here, which is like these bugs noises. They change bushes so that they will no longer waste bone meal if they don't actually grow any bushes. This is great for my compact and efficient bush farms, although in my designs I perfectly timed it so they don't actually waste any bone meals. But if you guys want to check out these videos and build these in your worlds, as you can build them up right now and then just place in the bushes later, I'll have the video linked down below. And it turns out YouTube didn't even send out this video to 40% of you guys, so make sure you guys have the bell notification set to all, as YouTube seems to be a bit broken again. Now that we have bushes as well as the firefly bushes, when are they going to make it so that we can convert these into dead bushes? Because currently dead bushes are non-renewable, so you would have to go out there and collect all the ones you want. But if we could just do something like use shears on bushes, and that way we can convert them into dead bushes, since now we actually have a real item called bush as well as one called dead bush. How do you think we should convert bushes into dead bushes? Now, a snapshot only bug that they fixed was this: when you would dismount, you would be placed at the exact same location where the mob was standing rather than being placed off to the side. But despite that, there is still a older bug that they have yet to fix, and that is if you get dismounted from a minecart, you end up getting placed inside of blocks sometimes. If I put a mob in a minecart, then I break the minecart, it should get dismounted off to the side, but it gets put directly in the center. So even if there would be a block right there and the minecart gets removed, it gets placed right there rather than one of the available nearby free spots. And they accidentally broke this during a snapshot, so now when it comes to moving mobs, like here in my automatic mob head farm, once we break the minecart, the creeper just sits there, when before it would get placed over here, and on this side over here, these mobs would used to get placed into this water stream, and just with this one change, it breaks all different farms related to transporting mobs with minecarts. With the majority of bug fixes this week being related to bugs that came up during the snapshot, including making sure that the new cold and warm variations of mobs are found in the correct biomes, and mobs that spawn in with villages will also be the correct variation, which has also got their hitbox moved down and shrunken like other grass, as well as given the special tags used by other vegetation. With one crash bug being fixed, which would happen if you made a mob a owner of itself. Minecraft just announced that their Minecraft Experience, which is their in real life event, will be in London, United Kingdom very soon, with tickets going on sale February 14th, and you can even sign up for the early ticket waitlist. Now I actually went to this in real life event when I was here in the United States, and it was in Texas at the time. It was actually a lot of fun, especially if you don't have to travel too far in order to attend it. And one of the perks is that people there are typically into Minecraft, so you get to meet other Minecrafters in real life, which is really cool. And of course the main thing is you get the exclusive Minecraft Experience cape, and I got this cape for both my main account and my camera account. So if you're in the Europe area, you might be able to travel on over to London and enjoy the experience. And I actually did a video about the Easter eggs that are within this event, so if you guys want to get a little heads up on looking for those Easter eggs when you're out there, or if you're just curious about what the event's all about, I have more details in this video here, which I'll link below. Now come join my Twitch live stream where I'm going to be testing out the newest rarest types of mobs using these chicken variations, and help me continue this technical exploration by coming in with a donation. Much thanks to all my monthly supporters, and I'll see you guys all over there. Bye bye!